I must be the last booktuber uploading this book tag. I'm well aware. In fact, I was not planning on filming this book tag, but my good friend Kass tagged me and I couldn't deny. I got excited after watching her video and watching a ton of other book tags. I want to be part of this book tag too. I filmed it last year, so why not do it again? These book tags are a great way to find new books, to see which books you should pick up or maybe which books you should avoid. Even though books and reading are subjective, so just because I didn't like a book or just because I loved a book, that doesn't mean that you will not like it or you will love it too. I will have the book cover of each one of my answers on the screen because I don't want to pull out the books from my bookshelf. Also, some of them maybe I read them on my Kindle, some of them maybe I have on hold them. I will just have the book cover on the screen. I feel like it is easier, and also my bookshelf remains in a beautiful state, so you can see a beautiful, lovely background. So without further ado, let's start with the questions. Question number 1, best book you've read in 2025. I'm not gonna share only one answer for each question. If I have multiple books that I want to include in that answer, I am going to do that. I cannot just stick to one book, to one answer. I cannot do that. The best books I've read in 2025, there are 6 books, and all of these books are also 5 stars for me. So there is also another question in this book tag of how many 5 stars I had this year so far. The answer is 6, and the best books that I have read in 2025 are The Scattered Bones, The Nightingale, As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow, Peaches and Honey, The Favorites, and Say You'll Remember Me. I loved each one of these books for a different reason, but they all gave me that 5-star feeling. I had a fantastic time reading all of these. They are all pretty different from each other. We have some fantasy books, we have general fiction, historical fiction, a contemporary romance. So you see, my reading taste varies. It varies a lot, but if you take any recommendations from this video, let it be these books. The best sequel you've read so far this year. I have 2 books. The first one is Pits and Poison, which is part of the Peaches and Honey duology. This is a historical fantasy romance. It was such an unexpected favorite for me from this year. I didn't expect to love this duology as much as I did, and the second book is Foxglove, which is the second book in the Belladonna series. I love Belladonna. Foxglove was fantastic as well. I feel like this series has the best atmosphere. If you're into a mysterious gothic atmosphere, I feel like you will really love this series. A new release you haven't read yet but want to. My answer is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I think that this book is a sapphic romance with vampires, so it sounds incredible. I have heard really good things about it and I feel like I will enjoy it. So I really want to get this book soon and read it. And also another newer release that I haven't read yet is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I feel like this is going to be a 5-star for me. I love her books and the concept of the book sounds very unique and intriguing. It has to do about space and astronauts. We will also have a love story in the book and I really cannot wait to pick it up. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Like my friend Kass said in her video, I was really looking forward to The Ballad of Falling Dragons, which is the sequel to When the Moon Hatched, which is this book over here, this beauty. I loved this book so much. Fantastic world building, the magic system, the main characters, it was incredible. So I was really excited when I heard that in October of 2025 we would have the sequel, but now the release of that book has been pushed to 2026, so that means that I have to wait for that. So my next answer would be Holly by Adeline Grace. This is a novella of the Belladonna series. Also, I'm very excited about the Gingerbread Bakery. This is part of the Dream Harbor series, which is a small town romance series. The books are interconnected standalones. You can read them in whichever order you would like to. I successfully have read them in the right order, which is something different for me because in other interconnected standalone series I haven't followed the correct order of reading. But these books are perfect for palate cleansers in between more intense reads, maybe in between really emotional fiction books or very high stakes fantasy books. And also I'm very excited about Every Spiral of Fate, which is going to be the 4th book in the This Woven Kingdom series. I haven't even read the 2nd or 3rd book in this fantasy romance YA series, but I'm already excited about the 4th book because I loved This Woven Kingdom. This book had one of the best, most beautiful writings I have ever read. The plot had me on a chokehold. I thought that we were heading into a different direction than the one we ended up heading to. It was just an amazing time, and I plan on reading the second and third books soon enough, so I'm very excited about this fourth book. Biggest surprise. I have to say my biggest surprises for this year were two books that I had never heard anything about, and one of the books I did find it through Pinterest. I saw a book aesthetic, book fan art for this book, and that book is Peaches and Honey. Again, the duology of Peaches and Honey. I saw this fan art, book aesthetic on Pinterest, and I was immediately intrigued and pulled into that picture. I wanted to find out which book that is, the plot, and I was not disappointed. And the second book, The Scattered Bones, again, one of my 5 stars of this year so far. I think I found it on Kindle Unlimited randomly. This is a standalone fantasy romance. It is about 300 pages, maybe a little bit less, and I just wish that this was a trilogy or a series. This concept and this book had definitely the potential to be a 3, 4, 5, 6 books series. The author could very easily stretch out the story and add more details and more characters, but I have zero complaints, honestly. Even if it was standalone, even if it is only one book, it was fantastic. The writing, I highlighted so many quotes. The romance, the yearning, the adventures, the action, it was just phenomenal. So it was such a huge surprise. I never in a million years would have thought that I would enjoy this book that I randomly found on KU, but I did. So I definitely encourage you to read it, and I really hope you will love it as much as I did. Favorite author, debut or new to you? They are both new authors to me. The first one is Tahra Mafi and the second one is Reda. I'm terribly sorry if I mispronounced the names, but Tahra Mafi is the author of this Webm Kingdom. She has very quickly become a new favorite author for me since I love this first book so much. And then Reda is the author of the Peaches and Honey duology. I feel like my answers are very repetitive, but hang in there, we have more of a variety coming right up. But both of these authors have amazing writing styles. I was really pulled into their stories and I found so many beautiful quotes in their books. You know, sometimes a book can be good, but it doesn't necessarily have quotes that will speak to your soul. But I feel like with these two authors, the writing was exceptional. Also, the romance and the yearning in their books is so gorgeously created and written. So these two ladies are definitely my two new favorite authors. Newest fictional crush. Now this was a bit hard because I feel like this year I haven't been obsessing over any fictional male character that much. I have read about some good, nice, decent fictional male characters, but no one has come close to my top 5 list, which includes only Cassian, Khan, Rain, Rune, and Dorian. I feel like no man will ever compare to these 5, but you never know. You never know. So it was hard to find an answer for that, but I think I will go with Xavier from Say You'll Remember Me because he had a really sweet and good personality, a good heart. He was of course gorgeous and he was a vet. He loves animals, so he has to be on my list. And also Jest by Heartless. I feel like he was very charming and very cute and he deserved better. So these two. Book that made you cry. Okay, so now I will give you a few books that made me cry, but keep in mind I was not ugly crying throughout the entire book. It was just maybe a moment, a couple of moments. We got some teary eyes, or maybe I also low-key ugly cried for like a couple of pages. I can't get emotional with books. I'm not the type of person who doesn't cry easily with books. I feel like I do cry. Not easily, but it's not that hard for me to cry either with books. So I cried with As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow when I read a specific line that was said by a kid. Then I cried with A 7-Year Slip. This book also deals with grief, so it was pretty emotional. Then I definitely cried with The Nightingale. I still remember the scene that made me cry. It was heart-wrenching. And then I also cried with Before We Say Goodbye. I cried with one of the chapters that was dealing with losing a pet. Maybe I also cried with more books and I don't remember, but I definitely cried or got some teary eyes with all of these books. A book that made you happy. This was also a bit hard to come up with an answer because I tend to read books that are not very fluffy and happy, but I will go with Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. It was on the heavier side for a contemporary romance, but still it had those good, heartwarming, making you feel all fuzzy and giddy scenes. And then the Strawberry Patch Pancake House, I have to say that it was maybe the fluffiest book that I read this year. So yeah, I will go also with the Strawberry Patch Pancake House. The most beautiful book you've bought or received this year. Okay, I will pull these books out so I can show them to you. I really love the cover of Hamnet. This is a book that my sister got for me, so it was a gift. I just love books with blue covers and with gold details and red details, and I feel like this book is gorgeous. Then I really love the dark gothic cover that The Dowry of Blood has. I really love it. I love the woman with the pearl necklace and this red dress that cuts low. It is just gorgeous. Also the details in the corners. It is just straight up my aesthetic, you know? Gothic, dark with red. I just love it. Not that I am gothic. I mean, if someone ever saw me, I don't think that they would guess that I love darker gothic concepts, but I do. Let me know, do you think when you look at me that I like darker gothic concepts? I'm curious. What do you think? And then I love the cover of Wisteria, which is the third book in the Belladonna series. I love the covers of every single one of these books. I mean the covers that I own, because I know that there are different editions with different covers, but how stunning is this cover? And Belladonna and Foxglove are equally stunning as well. Let me grab them for you so you can see. So Belladonna, Foxglove, and Wisteria. And Wisteria. So look at those. Stunning. Gorgeous. I love them. What books do you need to read by the end of this year? Definitely The Blood Trader, which is the final book in the Prison Healer series. Wisteria, which I just showed you. And also These Infinite Threads and All This Twisted Glory. I mentioned them before. I really want to continue the series. This Woven Kingdom. Okay, the memory of my camera got full, but we're resuming back to the questions. Apparently I talk a lot and I don't even share the synopsis of the books. I don't know if you noticed, but I try to keep it minimal with what I share about each book, because I know that you can very easily read the synopsis on your own, and I don't want to bore you with a lot of details about each book. And also nobody wants a 1 hour long video from me, so we gotta wrap it up. What books do you want to reread this year? So the first book that I wanted to reread this year was ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, and that is a check. I reread that book last month. I think that I want to reread When the Moon Hatched. I was very sure about it, but now since the release is not in October, maybe I can push it also to the start of 2026 to do that reread, but we will see. Maybe I will end up rereading When the Moon Hatched. And then I think that it would also be nice to reread The Little Princess, which is a book that I think I'm reading every single year, and I love reading it, especially closer to the Christmas season. Not that it is a Christmas book, but it does have a very sweet, cozy, and heartwarming energy, even though a huge chunk of the book is a bit sad, but still it is a children's novel. I think it is a classic also, a classic children's novel. So it's nothing heavy or super sad that will make you depressed during the festive season. So it is a book that I love reading closer to Christmas. A book you enjoyed with mixed reviews. The first book definitely has to be House of Flame and Shadow, which is the third book in the Crescent City series. I feel like so many people didn't enjoy that book. I personally liked it. It did have some slow parts, but I remember I gave it 4.5 stars, so I did have a really good time with it. We have a lot of great characters in that book, but I get why people didn't like it. And then the next book I think that gets some mixed reviews is The Night and the Moth. I think I've heard a lot of people say that they expected more and they were a bit disappointed, or that they loved One Dark Window, which is written by the same author, more. I personally loved The Night and the Moth. When I started the book, I was not crazy about it. I was a bit lost, then I was a bit bored during a couple of chapters. But after halfway through the book, I got really into it and I really enjoyed it. But I feel like this book does get a lot of mixed reviews. Disappointments. Okay, Once Upon a Broken Heart. What a huge fat disappointment. I hated this book. I didn't like it at all. It felt extremely juvenile. It was very fairy tale-like, but in a bad way, in a very young, immature way. And what do I mean by immature? I feel like our main character was immature. She was very naive. I think that she even maybe acted even more naive than her age. I don't remember. I think she was very young though. No, let's give her that. She was very young. She was very young, but I didn't like her. And I just had the absolute worst time trying to go through this book. And maybe this book was my wake-up call to stop reading books that I'm not enjoying. I should have DNF'd that book, but I didn't. The other book that was a little bit of a disappointment for me was the Book of Azrael. It was not a bad book. I still have it on my shelf. There it is. But I think that I will unhaul it. I expected more from it. I feel like it was too long. I got bored, and I'm definitely not gonna continue this series. 5-star predictions for the rest of the year. Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid and Beartown by Frederick Backman. I have only heard the best about both of these books. I have read a ton of Taylor Jenkins Reid books, so I know that I will love Atmosphere too, and I have a feeling that it's going to be a 5-star for sure. When it comes to Frederick Backman, I have read only one more book from him, which is this book right here. I read it in Greek, so I think that in English you will find this book, My Grandmother is Sorry and She Says Hello, something like that. It was a nice read, but it was also a bit slow and it was not keeping me that interested at some parts. But it was definitely a nice read, a good written book. But when it comes to Beartown, I have heard such excellent things, so I have a feeling that I will enjoy too and that it will be a 5-star for me too, but who knows? You never know. I have to read it and I will find out. And that brings us to the end of this mid-year book freakout tag. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have reached this part, comment down below. What should we comment? Let's comment a bunny emoji, a rabbit bunny emoji for the cover of Wisteria. If you have also filmed this tag, let me know down in the comments so I can check out your video too. I tag all of you if you want to write your answers down in the comments. So truly hope you enjoyed this video, my friends. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye friends!